Hello everybody and welcome to my review on Gears of War 1. Now, this game has been out for way too long, right? It's going on at least 20 years or close to it, because I played this way back in like 8th or ninth grade, I think, and I'm 31 now, so I'm one of the old gearheads, of course. But if you know me or have watched any of my videos, you know that Gears of War 1 is my all-time favorite game. Like, hands down, I've played this game at least 15 times all the way through, maybe 20 at this point. And it is just like, there's something so pure about that. I remember chainsawing my first Locust. I literally remember the moment because I was sitting in, I was over at my friend Cody Lloyd's house. We were sitting in his bedroom playing it, and he's like, "Yeah, press B to rev the chainsaw." I'm like, "Chainsaw? What is that?" And like you chainsaw your first Locust, and the way that Gears of War captured that chainsaw, like I don't think any of the later Gears of War games capture that feeling. That like visceral, like disgusting blood and guts feeling. It felt so, maybe it was because I was so young, but it felt so real, right? Like it felt like so awesome to chainsaw that first Locust. And I could probably play Gears of War 1 all the way through with my blindfolded at this point, just because I've played it so much. I mean, narrative's a 10 out of 10, of course. It is, they introduce characters in a way that makes you feel for them, even though you know barely anything about their backstory. Like, you don't really start to learn about Dom's backstory and Maria until Gears of War 2. You get a little bit of it, but not a ton. And then in Gears of War 3, you really get Marcus's backstory with Adam Phoenix's dad and like the Hammer of Dawn. And then just like the overall Gears of War franchise, I feel like makes you have such an emotional reaction to these giant behemoth gorilla characters that like you would look at them and be like, wow, that is just like the Hulk of a human man, like has no emotion whatsoever, just wants to kill Locust. And on the underside of that, it's such an emotional backstory for every single character. I don't know how they did it, but they did it. You know, we are all locked in after Gears of War 1. The market and the social of the game, I gave these both 10 out of 10. The marketing for Gears of War 1 was absolutely incredible because it was a genuine original idea at that point. Like, now I feel like everything's a sequel of a sequel or like a variation or a spin-off or some BS. Gears of War 1 was its own thing, introducing the Lancer as a machine gun with a chainsaw on the bottom. I mean, it was revolutionary, just absolutely huge. Social, this was my first like actual multiplayer experience besides Halo 3, and it kind of got you into that tactical mindset of you have 5 guys on your team, they have 5 on their team, and like you play deathmatch or you play, Guardian or something like that. It just really, there was nothing crazy about the multiplayer, right? It was just your team versus that team. It wasn't like, oh, you have all these classes and these abilities and all this other bullshit. It was 5 guys with guns against their 5 guys with guns, and there's guns in the middle. Like, just simple and awesome. It just kept me coming back. And I did get the Seriously 1.0 achievement. You know, Gears of War 1, 2, I have 100%. Gears of War 3, I didn't, because getting every single metal onyx is absolutely bonkers, and I would never do that. But 100% Gears of War 1. Graphics, I gave an 8 out of 10. Whenever they re-released the game with the Brumok campaign chapter, I feel like they really took the graphics up a notch. And back then, the graphics were amazing for what they were, since it was the first game of that type. You could tell the water graphics, though, were just terrible, and how much they've improved over the years, which is awesome. Technical, I gave a 10 out of 10. I didn't experience one bug ever in Gears of War 1, besides Seriously 1.0, the achievement not popping as soon as I got 10,000 multiplayer kills. It took me like 15 or 16,000 to get there, and then it finally popped. But like, no bugs in a game this old, this big. It blows my mind that games nowadays are obviously much bigger and much buggier, but back then, like, they just nailed it. Like, literally nailed it. Value, 10 out of 10. The DLC for the game was amazing. The extra maps that they introduced. I mean, they're still using the Gears of War 1 maps till today. They're still using them in Gears games. There's nothing more I can say about the value here. I would buy this game 10 times over. Audio, 10 out of 10 again. Like I was saying, the audio and the graphics of your first chainsaw melee kill on a locust is just... Still remember it to this day. It was almost 20 years ago, and I still remember it, and that tells you exactly how amazing it is. So, overall rating for Gears of War 1, 9.5 out of 10. Like I said, I've played through this game at least a dozen times, probably 20 times at this point, and I could finish it in probably less than 8 hours, just playing through and enjoying it. And also, the horror aspect of Gears of War 1 is something that Gears 2 and Gears 3 definitely capitalized on a bit, but the horror aspect of the, what are they called? The crawling locusts that explode when the emulsion locusts. That was like one of the best missions ever because the sound in it and everything was just perfect, absolutely perfect. If you enjoyed my review of Gears of War 1, I have the entire playthrough down below, and I hope to see you guys on the next one.